What's going on, everybody out there all across the land? Of course, you know you're tuned into the #1 station on the net, Hotline Radio. You're tuned into the Keith Harris Show, and of course, I am your guy, Keith Harris. And now, we have a very special show, a special edition today. First and foremost, look, I want to start this show, and we'll do it again later on too. We want to give a big shout out to Leanne Langford also as well, my wonderful co-host of the show. Big shouts out to her. Of course, we know she's a busy lady, always doing something, so she was not able to join us right now, but who knows, she may drop in halfway through the show. She'll definitely be here next time. All right, now, without any further ado, I'd like to roll out the red carpet for this multi-talented lady here. She does a lot. She's creative. She's always got something good to say. If you can't think of it, she will. Trust me. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to you writer, author, interviewer, previewer. As she says, she does it all. She's a wonderful columnist. She's amazing. She makes everybody else look good. She makes a lot of people look good, and I'm sure they thank her for that. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Ladyaslan. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm keeping you in my pocket. I need pep talks like that every day.
Hey, that's how we roll. They come the inspiration. You know what I'm saying? What's up with you though? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just, the ups and downs of a typical day.
I hear that.
Dealing with the day job, dealing with new interviews, little bumps in the road here and there.
You know what? You know what? You right, because you do that too. You get into that. And we're going to get into a little bit in the show, too, about if you go through some of the same things that I go to, like the trials and tribulations as an interviewer.
Man, they're either out of the park or the ball is so foul that you can smell it like from a mile away. So, right. Yeah.
Right. But
it's like there's no in between.
Right. Now, you know what? Look, we're probably gonna talk it. We're gonna yap it up for a while, so we'll start in. We'll jump in with the juicy stuff. We'll take a breather. We'll get back in. Let's start now. How did you begin in the world of, I don't know, was it writing for you? Did you see stuff in the back? You know what? I tell you what. We're gonna start out different. Tell us who Ladyaslan is.
Oh my.
Yeah, there you go.
She's many things.
Well, tell us about it. Who are they?
She's haunted, full of mystery. There's a eccentric sexiness to her. Mm-hmm. Loves the dark. A little bit of a Mad Hatter.
Okay.
Everything that I'm not. No, I'm a little bit of all that.
Right.
But no, she's just something I came up with bits and pieces over my life, probably stemming from I was a really little girl, in the single digits, because my mom was a huge Bowie fan. So my first introduction to Bowie was Ziggy Stardust. And I'm like, no, Mom, that's Bowie. And she's like, no,
right.
This is Ziggy Stardust. This is his alter ego. And I'm like, ooh,
right.
That right there, the seed was planted.
And then,
a couple years down the road, Prince comes out with Controversy, if I believe correctly, and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And between those two, over the decades, I finally kind of let her loose in 2007. She had been boiling for quite a while.
Okay. And when she jumped out, there was a lot to say, I assume.
Well, actually, it started on MySpace. I wasn't sure if I even wanted to go down this path.
Right.
I had been writing all my life. Oddly enough, in middle school, I really hated writing. I mean, with a passion.
But were you good at it?
Do it.
I'm sorry, but were you good at it though? Did you hated it, but you knew you were good at it, or not?
Apparently, no. I didn't know I was good at it. See, I was a smart ass all the time, and my teachers would tell me to do an assignment, and then I would write something I wanted to write.
Oh.
Yeah, big the rebellious child there. But I got the papers back, and they're like, oh my God, this is great. How did you come up with this? And I'm like, well, one paper I had wrote about was a really crazy dream that I had. And so I brought it home, and my parents were like, well, Keep on doing what you're doing. And I'm like, oh, man, this sucks. And it's kind of like bitch. But then, high school rolled around and college a few times. I was like, okay, I can just let all my craziness go on paper.
You know what? Probably, I guess at that young age, you didn't know. I guess you found out as you got older in life that, oh, shoot, there's going to be all this different stuff going on that you were eventually going to want to write about anyway. Mm-hmm. So it just came to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say pretty much that's pretty much how it happened, but it is kind of funny. I do remember being younger and just hating the fact that I had to sit down and write. And now I got like doodle papers everywhere, sticky notes, like writing on my hand, my leg, back of the door.
Wow. How did you, and let's go to Baby Bats for a second. Because look, Baby Bats is a catchy name. All right. And it's not often heard. And a lot of people wonder, well, what is Baby Bats? What does it stand for?
Well, when I had my first radio show, the host that I was working with, we were just kind of like throwing ideas back and forth, and we were like trying to figure out, what can we do like with the Ladyaslan name? Because at that point, I really, honest to God, I was just going to write one book for my family, myself, give it out to some friends, and be done with it. But then I got kind of surprised people kind of liked it.
Right.
And then when I started to share on social media, I really thought I was going to get scrutinized and nailed against the wall, but people were actually giving me constructive criticism and things I can do to improve this and that, and they overall enjoyed it, and I was like,
Here I go writing again.
It came back to bite me in the ass. So I was like, all right, what can I do with this? So we were talking with that first radio show, and I was like, oh, how fun would it be to have T-shirts or something? And the one host was like, oh, yeah, that'd be a great idea, but you kind of need something catchy. He's like, it's for your fans. I'm like, I don't have fans. What, I got 2 people that listen to me, really?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I'm like, that's just too fucking pretentious. I can't, no, that's not me or Ladyaslan. I was like, wait a minute, Baby Bats. I love Baby Bats, which I do. I love bats. They're so cute. And I'm like, well, that's kind of a fun, cute name. I think somebody would have more fun saying they're a baby bat than saying they're a fan. And trust me, there's nothing wrong with saying, you're a fan of so-and-so or this. But for me, I just like a different term because I'm not like somebody that should have fans. So Baby Bats came up, and then I was thinking some more, and I'm a huge Walking Dead fan, and I love the fact that Daryl Dixon had wings on the back of his vest in the earlier season. And I was like, ooh, we could put the bat wings on the back of the T-shirt. And then one day I made them. I was like, screw it. I just took I went for it. I just jumped into the void with my eyes closed and made them, and people really liked them. I was surprised.
You know what? Yeah, because it just seems, like I say, it seems like the type of title is catchy. Baby Bats. It's simple. It's got 2 B's in it. You know what? You were, back in the 70s, because you grew up around bands. You grew up around rock bands.
Yeah.
A lot of leather, a lot of guitars, a lot of dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Yeah. What type of motivation? Did that have any motivation to some of your designs and your thoughts?
122%. Yeah, my parents had a lot to do with it, and I didn't realize it. And again, until I was already doing what I'm doing now, and have little memories. But growing up as a kid, when you have my parents owned a pub in Pennsylvania. And there were so many bands that came in and out of there that it got to the point where I didn't want to stay with my grandparents on the weekend. I wanted to go to the bar with my parents. So, I knew if I threw a good enough temper tantrum that my grandmother wouldn't want me at the house, so they would have no choice but to come pick me up.
Right.
And my parents at first were like, oh, God, I'm not sure she should be here, but that's the only place I wanted to be. So we had spoken word, too. It wasn't just bands. I had found the old posters and stuff that we used to have back in the day. We had spoken word. We had probably one of the first cover bands for the Go-Go's back in the day. I mean, I'm kind of aging myself there.
Wow.
But yeah. And plus, too, it was the second wave was coming in. So the bar was originally kind of like this southern rock biker establishment, and then the second wave came in, and all of a sudden, all these Mohawks start coming into the bar. Of course, I'm just like, oh my God, this is great. And my dad's like, what the hell is this? And my mom is like, I don't know, but it sure is selling tickets. And that's pretty much would go down. I mean, we had probably anywhere from 7 to 15 bands, maybe within a week, maybe even more, that would come in to audition to play in the bar. So I would be there for all that too. And then my mom would write articles and review the bands. She got some articles in Easy Rider back in the day. So now fast forward to what I'm doing, it's just kind of different. Technology has changed, and now the bands are on this little screen in my computer, and I can write reviews for various people and give it to them, and I can interview actors and whatnot and get it out there. And I really kind of thought I found my own little niche, and then I started thinking, like, wait a minute, man, your parents did this. So I guess in a way I kind of did follow in their footsteps.
You know, I think, you know, would you say that your personality speaks, even when you're writing a column about, you know, a band, you know, or some of the successful people you've written about, or some of the indie artists you've written about, you know, actors, actresses, you know, all sorts of people, tons of people. When you're writing about these people, because your writings, I noticed, I've read them, they're normal, but they're not basic, they're not plain. When you write, do you step into another person?
I don't think I step into another person. I think I just got multiple personalities running around in my head.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm.
Same thing.
I'm just kind of a mixed bag of goodies.
Right. Wow.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily put chocolate on myself and call myself a candy bar, but there's definitely, you know, a couple of screws loose. But because it's just another.
You're an exciting writer.
Pardon me.
You're right. You're an exciting writer. You know, and you obviously know how to hold your reader's attention and things like that.
Yeah, I try to. That's an ongoing process. I think any writer that says that they found the one way to do it forever and ever is just, you know, really lacking. Every day I'm reading something about writing, looking at different writers. Like when my friend Clara Grace interviewed me, Clara Grace Walker, she's an author, romance author. Her set of questions were so amazing that I had an email from her. I'm like, look, I'm going to use some of your questions in my interviews, because she had nailed it on the head as to how to go off base a little bit to get a little bit of personal information and then reel them back in and go back to talking about, you know, what they do, the person I'm interviewing, whether they're an actor, a musician, a poet, a model. So she really helped too. So I think, I mean, you have to treat everything kind of, it takes, like they say, it takes a village to raise a child. Yeah. It's the same thing with any type of career. You need to have good people around you that have good ideas, and be that person that goes, oh my goodness, I really like what you wrote there. I might borrow a section of this, you know, for my own interviews. Don't just like up and snatch something and run away. Actually be like, I'm going to utilize some of this in what I do.
Right.
So, because I've seen too many people snatch and run, and I've seen things got snatched from me over the decades, and I'm just like,
Yeah, I agree. Myself, I try to keep it as authentic as possible. You know what I'm saying? I don't even try. I do it, and you know, hopefully it works out. Let me ask you this question. As an interviewer, what are you thinking when you're asking the questions? When you you know what I'm saying, like when you interview people and you ask questions and they're answering them, what's running through your mind? I know you're listening, but as an interviewer, are you multitasking?
Some questions I listen to a little differently. It depends upon who I'm interviewing.
Right.
How can I explain that? Some intrigue me even more. Some of the people I interviewed I've known for a long time, so it's just fun to have the banter back and forth, and we'll talk in between the interview and everything. But some of the newer people that I've interviewed, I'll get like, it's almost like the ding-ding moment. I'm like, oh, I did not know this person was like this. Oh, I have got to stay in touch with this person a lot more. So it kind of opens up a door for me to extend more of a friendship than a business relationship.
Yeah.
This one past artist I had interviewed, D.M.V.KeithHarris, and I just really hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Amazing. He did a David Bowie tribute to David Bowie. And so as I'm talking to him, I'm realizing, oh my goodness, me and this guy have a lot in common. And come to find out, one of the magazines, I write for two magazines, Coma Music Magazine, which is out of California, they're in the United States, and then there's TE Magazine, which is out in the UK. I like to have two different ponds to dip out of, because then that's covering a lot of space.
Right. And you want to keep each one original.
Yes. So when I was interviewing him, and again, it became a small world. When I submitted the interview to Yvette at Coma, she's like, "Oh my goodness," she's like, "Anitra, do you really?" I think it was her husband went to middle school with him. She's like, "We know him." I'm like, "Oh my God, no way." So that was just kind of like the icing on the cake. I'm like, not only is this guy interesting, here is, the ding ding light going, this is somebody that you should talk to and be friends with, because you have a lot in common and you can broaden the network of friendship. So sometimes that does happen in interviews, and sometimes it doesn't. Right. Sometimes, I'd like to give you an example. I had interviewed Alex Vincent from Child's Play. His interview, oh my God, if people would interview with me like he did, he said just the right amount of words to keep people interested. He did not go overboard, but he kept it, there was just like a really good feeling to what he wrote. Right. And he made you want to read the whole thing. And as the person that's doing the interview, I already knew the questions, but when I got them back, I found myself reading everything through and through, and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Yeah. Richard Cardinal from Canada, he's a fetish crossover. He went from fetish to mainstream. He's amazing. Amazing. What? And he too did the same thing. He just had
You said
so
Cardinal?
That he did, that it was just amazing to read. So it does kind of bring you closer to the person you're interviewing.
Oh, okay. Now, to switch up to I guess switch up the speed of things a little bit, and stop me if stop me if I'm going wrong, or get too deep or things get too personal here. But
that's okay.
Your mom passing away.
Yeah.
How obviously it was words can't explain how that hit you, but did it change things for you? Did it almost want to take you in a different direction where you thought maybe you didn't want to do this anymore? You didn't want to write anymore? How did you feel after that, career-wise?
I hit the bottle for 3 months. I'm not even gonna lie. Me and Honey Bourbon were very best friends. Well, to back it up a little bit, when I had moved back to the United States, from the moment I got off the plane and I looked at her, I was like, oh my God, she doesn't look right. So for the last 4 years of her life, I was her caregiver. I actually went back to school. I went to med school, and I was going to be a wounds nurse, because with everything that I had experienced when I got back to Florida, I wasn't able to count on home nursing to take care of my mom, and she had some serious issues. So I was like, screw it, I'll go to school and learn it. And then she had some very, very amazing doctors that took me under their wing and just showed me how to do things. And when it came time, when I made that last 911 call, it was, I didn't realize how bad it was until we got to the first hospital, and they looked at me and they're like, well, your mother needs to go to another hospital. And I'm like, okay, which one am I taking her to? And the helicopter people came in to get her. So that's when I realized, oh shit. And by the time she was in the hospital for 3 months, I kind of knew. I wasn't going to go any further in medical school, because at the end of her, when she passed, I'm like, no, I can't live this every day. I just cannot go in to a patient's room one day, work on them, and then maybe an hour later or the next day them not be there. I took it harder than I thought I would. Right. It affected me.
Of course.
I'm a Capricorn, so we try to be prepared for everything, and
that's something you can never prepare for that.
Because you can run every scenario you want in your head. It never turns out how you see it in your head. Yeah. And I'm Italian, only child, Italian family. I know how did that happen. But it hurt really, really bad. And to see a different side of my father, that hurt too. Because now, as that was going on, he was always my dad. But then as things started to get worse with my mom, I saw, and that sounds kind of funny, but then I saw him as my mother's husband. And it sounds kind of weird, but, dad, mom, that's all you say all your life. But then when you step out and you see how somebody else is reacting, how they feel about it. Then I saw him as a widow.
And it affects you when you know when you watch the pain that he must have been going through. It didn't make it any easier.
Well, see, I did not know. My parents were married for 47 years.
Oh, wow.
And me and my dad are talking. He's like, Anitra, you realize me and your mother were together for 55 years. I'm like, what?
Wow.
He's like, well, we dated before we got married, right?
Right.
I know it sounds funny, but I was like, oh my God, you guys dated for that long and then got married?
Wow.
He's like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, wow, I had no idea. So it was kind of cool. Yeah. I was finding out things from my dad's, my dad's memories and stuff like that. I mean, it was bittersweet, to be honest with you, but it still affects me. I suffer from night terrors. I mean, I had no business staying to the very end watching her pass. I tell everybody that, and everybody's like, no, I'm going to be there for when my loved one passes. And then, a couple days later, I get the phone call or the email. Oh my God, you were right. I can't get that vision out of my head.
Right.
So, but as for the writing aspect, I did take a break because my brain just couldn't function anymore. I just really needed to deflate and come down. But no, I would have never quit writing. She would have haunted me if I would have quit writing.
I know that's right, but you better get back to work, girl.
Yeah, she would have been throwing pencils at me or something. I would have woke up covered in sticky notes.
Yeah.
But, I took a break. I think anybody in any type of, even my day job, I had to take a break. I had to stop.
Yeah.
Because from going and going and going and being a caregiver, you tend to forget about yourself. Mm-hmm. And I had to stop and remember to put myself first, and all the affirmations that you read. I had to try to do it. I'm still struggling with it. It's been 3 years, and
not that long ago.
Like yesterday. Yeah, it seems like yesterday.
Right. Now, let's switch up a little bit. Talk about some charities. And we'll start with one. The American Diabetes Association.
Yes.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about how you feel about that, and have you done any charity work with them or?
Actually, yes. In 2001, I did a marathon with the American Diabetes Association in Rome, and 6 hours and 38 minutes. Everybody, yes. But
were you tired though?
That was.
Did you work out? Did you work? Did you train for that one?
Yes. Yeah. I'm a rather active person. Always have been. With thyroid disease, you really have no choice but to be active. But I saw the opportunity. Again, this was in 2001, and so we raised the money and everything. We went to Rome, and I stayed for 2 weeks in Rome and then 2 weeks in Florence. And since I'm here, I'm gonna do it right. And that was quite the experience. I will never ever do a marathon again. I have no problem signing a check and sending to somebody or PayPaling them because everybody can PayPal now. I've got no problem doing that.
But you ain't
I have no problem assisting, working with the homeless, passing out food, stuff like that. No problem. I'm not running.
Right.
26.7 miles. It's just not going to happen ever again.
Wow. And because then when you start, and the crazy part is because then when you start, there's no backing out, right?
Once you take that first step, you're committed.
Yeah.
You're totally committed. There's no going back.
It's like, how do people? And I look, and we're serious. Don't get us wrong. We're not in any way making any kind of joke of this. We're just talking about the running aspect of just running in general. It's like you stop and people are like, no, you have to continue. Like you can't give up on that. So yeah, write the check or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and make sure it's something. I kind of want to say I went in with rose tinted glasses. I was in my 20s. I'm like, I got this. I work out. I do this. Oh no. There's cobblestone in Italy. It's not flat. There's the 7 Hills of Rome. There's crazy taxi drivers. I bit off a little bit more than I could chew on that one.
You know what?
So,
and you got a lot of crazy. Speaking of, you got a lot of friends. A lot of people that like your work. You have a heavy social media following and things of that nature. Have you ever had any stalkers?
Oh God, I had I had a stalker before social media was even a thing.
Okay.
And then, I had a few stalkers on social media.
So that's good that it was before, because that means they might not be stalking you now. So you might know.
Well, I cleaned up my page really good. It seems some of these little trollish people like to make pages and put my picture on it with somebody else's name.
You know what? That's crazy. I did not realize how many people started doing that. And you know what? Because I get those too. Like I get these, but I always do the search thing. I do the investigation thing. You probably do it too. You know, you check, see who's who, what's what. You know.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
And it's amazing how many people out there or just have a picture from somewhere, and all the information is from like way overseas somewhere else. And it's just wow, it's bananas. Got to be careful out there. What do you think about social media? You know, do you feel like there's been a yin and yang? Because obviously there's a positiveness for social media when it, you know, comes to people seeing your work and recognizing who you are. But is there a gift and a curse in that?
Actually, there's a funny story about the yin and yang. So
yeah.
Okay, let's go back. I think it was 2011, maybe 2012, and I had went to a horror convention, Spooky Empire, and Alex Vincent he was in Child's Play 1 and 2. He had a movie coming out that he wrote called House Guest, and he was like, you should come out to the red carpet premiere. It was in Ybor City, which is maybe an hour from me. And I'm like, all right, got this. So I actually I don't want to say I walk around like a bum most of the time, but I put on a dress. I did my makeup really good, so me and my friend go to this premiere, and two people that I talked to on Facebook saw me, and they go, "Oh my God, look at you! You should wear makeup more often. You look amazing."
Are you serious?
Yeah. And I looked at my friend. She's on the floor, laughing, dying. I'm standing there going, are you saying I look like shit the rest of the time?
Yeah,
wow.
How do you?
And I just kind of stood there, and I'm like, I can't believe somebody just said that to me.
Hey, but you know, you in the world of entertainment though. Maybe that's a compliment.
I hope so. It was one of those things where you kind of smiled, and the smile kind of fades, and then it kind of comes back. I wasn't sure how to take that because most of of course, everybody's picture online is their best picture, all the makeup and everything.
Oh.
And but if you see me shopping at Publix, I got on my yoga pants, tank top, hair in a bun, no makeup.
Yeah, that's like me too. The dirty Tim boots and you know what I'm saying, the denim jeans. I'm real relaxed when I'm out. You know.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I don't know how to take that, but yeah, that's what happened.
Wow.
So ever since that day, I kind of think, oh, should I maybe put on some makeup? I don't know. I'm feeling kind of lazy today. Nope, too bad.
Yeah. Now you listen, you like wolves.
Yes.
Yeah, wolves are cool. Wolves are cool. What is
They're
it?
beautiful, beautiful creatures.
Do you draw pictures of wolves sometimes? Do you write about them?
I cannot draw a wolf to save my life.
Okay, me neither.
Yes, there's artists in the family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of them. Apparently, I can draw with words, not with pictures. My father loves wolves too. As a kid, he was if you heard him on that. I lived on a farm in Pennsylvania prior to moving to Florida, so you could hear just about anything. Late at night, and I remember sometimes he would hear some howling and whatnot. Oh my goodness!
So they had wolves out there where y'all was at growing up. That's cool right there. But see that. See, I would think that was yeah. See that, and that's the thing. I would love to live somewhere like that, and then at the same time. But see, y'all was used to it, and it's good when you're used to that. That's the beauty of it, because people get used to different things, and so. I would love to live next to wolves, but then I'd be scared too if I heard the wolves howling.
I have absolutely zero fear of animals. I have more fear of people than I do of animals.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Even bats.
Yeah, because one of the I don't know if it's a charity, but the Wolf Haven International. I do give money to that. Well, and I get a royalty check, and trust me, it's not anything I can go buy a jet airliner with. But usually what I do is the money that I get back from the books, it'll go to the Wolf Haven International, and then also the anti-bully, Stand for the Silence, are the two main ones. And of course, then there's American BD Association and the American Heart Association.
Listen, those are some amazing causes.
And also cancer.org. Because my dad's a cancer survivor. He had prostate cancer, so try to divide my time up as best I can. And sometimes when I'm just out and about. In Florida, unfortunately, I don't like the amount of homeless people that I do see. It breaks my heart. So I'm usually going through Dunkin' Donuts, buying like extra coffee, extra donuts. And like if it does get cold in Florida, believe it or not, I will like drive around and like hand out blankets and stuff like that. I've done that since high school. So
you know your passion, the passion that you have when it comes to caring about others and different causes and things like that. Do you feel like you try to bring that you bring that quality when you're writing a column or a story about someone? And what I mean by that is you give yourself, you put yourself into it. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't.
Well, yeah, if I put myself out there, sometimes I don't realize how much I'm putting myself out there. But I don't know. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. I guess it depends upon what I'm writing and who I'm chatting with as to how much comes out passion-wise, how I feel about humanity as a whole, the whole planet, animals, people, the whole nine. Because, I mean, there's just some days that I just want to go make a fort from my blankets and chew on some crayons. And then there's some days I feel like I can take on the world and change things. So it really depends upon the mood that I'm in and what I feel like sharing at the moment. But at any given time, if it's a good time to bring it up, of course I always bring up, to try to help other people, animals, the whole nine. I mean, we got to share this planet. We try to keep it as green as long as we can.
You know what?
Minimize that carbon footstep a little bit.
People, you know what? People, you interview people, people have conversations, they interview you. Have you ever thought about, or would you ever consider one day writing a book about yourself?
My parents, and now that my mom is gone, my dad's kind of been on my ass a little bit. He's like, you should really write a book about when you were a kid growing up in the bar. And my retort is, they will come with the white jackets and tranquilize us, and we will never leave the padded room. And we kind of I thought about it. If I really wrote about my life, like my family, things I went through, people who are in my family, the people I'm related to, either A, nobody would believe it, B, I would totally be stalked even more, or C, all the above and thrown in the loony bin. So, but yeah, it's something I've played with. I've often thought about it. I'm like, would I really write the whole thing, or would I like water some of it down? The people who have known me for a long time are probably chuckling right now, going, "Yeah, we dare you to write the real thing." But we double dog dare you. So it's crossed my mind, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, it seems everybody has their business out there today. It's like everybody has a reality TV show. Andy Warhol was correct. Everybody will have their 15 minutes. I kind of see myself pulling back. In the 80s, I was like all about, I'm going to be this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be a rock star, I'm going to be an actress, I'm going to be a model, and blah, blah, blah. And now that I'm older, I'm like, I'm going to be the weird, eccentric lady that writes poetry in a house full of cats. That sounds really good.
It's like after
some walls in the yard.
Right. It's like after you done relax. But you know what? That paints a picture too, because you've done your share of traveling too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
How was that? And isn't it always great? Listen, you get to experience new landscapes, try out all types of different foods. Let me ask you a question. What's one of the best foods, or what's one of the dishes that sticks in your mind out of so many places you've been? If you can remember it, though, it might be hard.
Oh my God! There is a dish in the Netherlands, and it's called vla. You usually have it at the end of the meal, and it's a dairy product. It's not quite pudding, and it's not quite yogurt, but it's in that area. And let me tell you, It is frigging amazing. It is like an angel peed on your tongue. Good. Oh my God, I would used to try to figure out a way to smuggle it back to the United States but I couldn't because it was dairy. But I was really trying to figure out a way. It's only an 8-hour straight flight when you don't have a stopover.
Right.
And then I had this amazing carpaccio in Rome that was to die for. I'll never forget that. That was just like, it was amazing. And I have to say, I do not like champagne. I am not a champagne girl. Do not give me champagne thinking you're gonna, get them losing on me. No. But
you drink wine, don't you?
Oh, wine. I just don't like champagne.
Oh, okay.
But when I was in Belgium, they had their own. I shouldn't say their own version of champagne. Champagne can only be called champagne in France. So any other country, it's going to be like a sparkling wine, prosecco, whatever. But Belgium had like what they would call champagne, and it was almost like drinking velvet. I was very impressed by the texture of it. It wasn't quite as dry as normal champagne, but I was like, oh my God, this is really good. So that was a very nice surprise to have on the champagne front, since I don't like champagne. So yeah, those would be like probably my top 3.
Now, what's one of the have you ever had any terrifying moments? Like, did you miss a train? If you ever missed that flight, you're like, huh?
Okay. If my friend Kim is listening right now, she's totally laughing already because she knows where I'm going with this. When I lived in the Netherlands, I lived in a village, and we would have to go, when you're an immigrant / expat, you have to do the same thing in every country. You have to go fill out paperwork and be a legal immigrant. So I'm going back and forth, from immigration. And for some reason in the Netherlands, ducks and geese seem to be just free range roaming. And for as much as I love animals, fowl and me do not get along. Any type of bird or duck, I must have been a cat in another life. Well, I got chased so many times by ducks, geese, goose, you name it. This one particular day, so everything I think is finally done. I don't have to go back and forth to immigration anymore. The paper's done. I'm riding in the Netherlands, I rode a bike. There was no vehicle, totally green, no bike. Yeah. So, and I guess it was kind of like late summer.
Right.
So of course the winds are going to start coming. And being from Florida, I'm used to wind bursts, wind gusts, from tropical weather. Yeah. Well, apparently the Netherlands have it too. And I'm riding my bike back home, and the wind's pretty rough that day. I'm going to give it to you. I mean, it was harsh. It was probably 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
Dang.
And I'm trying, I'm riding against the wind. All of a sudden, I'm turning into a Bob Seger song. I'm riding against the wind, and I hear whack. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh hell.
And I look to my side.
No.
Yes, it is the biggest goose I've ever seen in my life. I hear honks. I'm like, oh god. No.
Hold on, and you still pedaling now?
Yes, I'm still pedaling.
Dang.
For my life, I'm pedaling. Now, mind you, everybody in the Netherlands is like super tall. So when it came time for me to buy my rain gear, it was for somebody that was like 5'10".
Yeah.
I'm like 5 foot on a good day. So I'm pedaling as fast as I can. I'm catching wind because the outfit's too big on me. My shoe came untied. Now, at the precise moment that my shoe became untied and got hooked into the pedal, a wind gust came. I heard honk. Next thing I know, I've got goose in my face.
Wait, you hit the goose?
No, the goose hit me. The goose hit me. The damn wind kind of like flung it around, and it like hit me right in the face. So I hear whack, 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 and it's little like hitting on my chin.
Man.
And so now I'm tangled in the damn bike. I can't get my shoe untied. I'm hearing honk, 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 honk. I'm screaming bloody murder. I'm hanging on to the side of the pole, of the light pole, because the wind gusts just kept coming and coming. And so the damn bird was just like stuck on my face. I'm screaming. Finally, I get that thing off me. I threw him. I did.
Oh, dang. Oh my God.
So now I'm pedaling with one foot, still trying to untangle my other foot. So I get back, I get home, and the guy that I was with at the time, my partner, he looks at me and he's like, what? I'm like, don't even talk to me. Don't even talk to me.
I've got goose on my face.
As I was going to go in the house, I caught a glimpse of myself in the window. I looked like all the makeup had like come down my face. So I looked like, you know, a bad night of drinking. I had goose feathers coming out of my hair, out of the little hoodie thing. Wow. As I'm going in the house, I hear honk, the damn thing.
Are you serious?
Yes, and I ran in and I slammed the door. Everybody's laughing. My partner at the time, he's in tears. He's like, "That's it. The goose has it out for you. He's gonna put out a hit." And it's been an ongoing joke ever since. But yes, that was the most terrifying thing that's ever happened.
I hate to be cruel. I wish I had a goose horn right now. I wish I had. I would just honk. Wow, but that's. People
do. People that know me and know the joke, like I'll be walking out here honk, and I'm like, it's not funny.
Oh,
you're funny.
Man.
Yeah, they'll honk at me.
Wow, that's crazy. Now, you know what? Well, I guess you didn't see. I was going to ask the question that when the goose hit you, when this was like all going down, did anybody see you? I would hope nobody saw it in the process, but you had goose on your face, so you wouldn't have seen it anyway.
In the corner of my eye, there was an Oma and like her grandson, like on the side of they were holding on to the other side of the bike path, and I could see that they saw what was going on, but they were trying to hold on so that the little boy wouldn't blow away. So Grandma had him a pretty tight hold on him. Oh. But that one particular day, I mean, the winter was getting ready to come, so there wasn't too many people out, and I was coming back from university, so I had no choice but to be out in the elements, and which, by the way, suck. Just so you know.
Whew.
Everybody thinks it's fun to go green, and I'm gonna bicycle everywhere. You know what? Come talk to me after you've bicycled in the below zero weather with some goggles on and like thermo underwear and like 12 different pairs of pants and scuba gear.
You know what? You write a lot of stories. Will you ever write that story about the goose?
See, if I wrote that story, it would lead to questions of, well, how did that happen? Why were you there? And then it would lead into so much more, so I don't know.
Well, you know, it's a funny movie. I tell you, it's crazy.
It would be funny.
Yeah, like it's almost like a little short, like what that would be funny, but don't do that though. Keep it as that's a memorable moment, and you don't get that away.
Oh, I could be on my deathbed of Alzheimer's, and I would still remember that moment. You don't never forget when there's a goose on your face.
Look, but listen, you know, okay, so you're right. You.
I just snorted. I'm sorry.
What you say? You just what? You farted.
I just snorted.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Hey, that's all right, yo. We ain't censored on here. You can snort, fart, food, whatever you want to do. It don't matter.
I don't have the wind. That's another one. We're okay right now.
All right, I know, right? Okay, listen, we clowning. All right, look now. Okay. So you write for 2 magazines. When you first wrote your first article, were you worried at all? I mean, you know you're good at what you do, but were you worried? Were you like, oh my God, are people going to like this? Did you want to change it 5 times? The very first time you wrote in a magazine.
Oh. Well, see, I was reviewing on podcasts a little bit before I actually reviewed on magazines. So my first fear came actually being live on the radio.
Oh, well, tell me about that.
Not so much writing, because you can, spell check it when it works.
Yeah.
And you can tweak things before you send them in. The person that you're sending it to can send it back to you and be like, can you fix this and that? So you have that human one-on-one happening.
Right.
But when you're live on the radio and you have to review something for the first time, I was taking a lot of deep breaths on that one, because it was a lot of music reviews I was doing at the time, and then I got into movie reviews later, which, I mean, everybody and their mother, everybody's done them. Apparently there's 70 million podcasts out there that did that. So I was still like, oh God, even if there's just 10 people listening, those will be 10 people that hear what I have to say, and if I mess up, what am I going to do?
Right. Yeah.
So
what was
it was more of the radio that made me a little more on edge.
How did you, now how is it, would you imagine, is it that fear of thinking that you can hear yourself on the other side? Because I know, like, when I'm on air, I can't hear myself except for when I'm just talking. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking, but if I was on the actual other side and I was like maybe in the car listening to myself and I knew it was me, I probably would be nervous and I'd be like, oh hell, like I think I sound crazy or something.
I try not to listen to myself. Sometimes I do, and I hate my voice. Everybody else loves it. I hate it. So I'm just like, I don't really listen to the old shows.
Right.
I mean, if somebody asks for them, I can find them and send them out. But like once I do it, it's fresh in my head because I was there.
Right. Hey, you know what? This is a shame. Now look, I know this is a shameless plug right here, but one of your favorite shows is Lucifer, right?
Oh God, yeah, that was
Listen, I want to ask you, how is that show? See, and because you like it so much, I know I can get a good critique from you, because when the show first came out, I thought about watching it because I like the name, and I haven't been able to watch it. Is it good?
Yes, it is very good. I was kind of like on the fence though, because I was watching X-Files, and then X-Files was like, okay, next on Lucifer. And me and my friend were watching it. A girl that I went to middle school with, Danny. So me and her, she's like my Monday night TV pal. And thank you, Facebook. And we both decided to give it a try. Well, after the first 20 minutes of the pilot, we're like, oh, we have to watch this. I was a little bit worried there as to what they were going to do and how they're going to portray Lucifer, because I saw the route they were going, and I know it's from the comic book Sandman. It's just a very small part from the comic book Sandman. Let me rephrase that. It's a very tiny part in there that they made into a TV show. And Tom Ellis, oh my goodness, bless his little Lucifer heart. Very good show. There's a really good laugh in there, and it's not like a cheap, oh, I saw that laugh coming from a mile away. It's a good laugh. It's a great cast. They work really good off of each other, and it's a tight script. So you got fresh actors. Well, I shouldn't say like too fresh, but fresh enough actors that have been around the block a few times. So they got the acting chops. The script is good. Everybody works well off of each other. There were some familiar faces on the show. So all in all, it made it a really fun evening, and I'm really happy that season 2 got picked up. So I'll definitely be checking it out.
Wow.
So I think everybody should check it out, and definitely check them out on Twitter. They're really interactive with their fans on Twitter.
Have you ever, I know someone who's written reviews, have you ever wrote that review that people have just hated you for? Well, not hated you, sorry. I won't say hated.
People have hated me for.
I was great. Hold on, I was going to say, let me take that back. I don't want to say hated you for, but just just the criticism on, from the writer aspect, like, because you have to be honest. You like when you're giving reviews, you have to be honest. You're going to have to piss some people off, right?
Yeah, I never got backlash from any interview or review I've ever done. Now, if you want to take it a step further and go about stuff that I've posted on Facebook,
oh wow.
Oh God, I've had people. See, I'm kind of I either love you to death on Facebook or I will eviscerate you. So it just depends how you come at me as how I'm going to come at you. And I'm like that in real life too. I mean, like if I'm talking to you, we get off subject. Right. If the conversation gets heated, it's going to get heated. So how I'm interacting with people on Facebook is how I would interact with them in real life. There's not really any difference, because it really burns my ass when I hear people say, well, Facebook isn't real. Dumbass, you're the one typing on your computer. Last time I checked, you had a pulse.
Yeah.
So yes, it's kind of real. And I don't like the fact that people use it as an excuse to have bad manners.
Oh yeah.
You would never walk up to somebody in a cafe and totally interrupt them and give them your opinion on something that they're talking about when they never asked you in on the conversation in the first place. And I think it's just common sense that when somebody posts something on Facebook and you see that a particular group of people are talking about it, if you are not part of that group, do not add your 5 cents.
Yeah, yeah.
It's everyday etiquette 101. Just walk away.
Some people just can't help it, though.
Or message the person and be like, well, you know what? I saw your post about blah, blah, blah. I didn't want to post on your line. However, I feel blah, blah, you were right, or blah, blah, you were wrong. Just don't put your business on somebody else's for that reason.
Yeah. You mean like when people cut in and stuff like that, and it's a conversation between other people and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I would not do that in real life with somebody, I don't expect somebody to do it to me on Facebook because. But then again, I figure, wait a minute, the people that are doing this are probably the ignorant ones that I'm giggling at with the girls having a drink going, look at this idiot.
But you know what? That's true. And then the thing is, too, now, remember, if you put something on your wall, you pretty much leave an open gate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a believer in if you don't want other people to chime in on it, that's when it's time to, you know, kind of go to the DM or whatever. Because listen, thousands of people. Some of them are normal. Some of them not. You know somebody's going to, I don't know. It's hard. I mean, but people.
Yeah, somebody didn't take their Thorazine and had a day pass. So you got to be careful with them.
Yeah. So it I don't know. It kind of depends. Listen, what can we look forward to next? Dark Delights. Let's talk. Okay, tell us what Dark Delights is. What is the title? Where did it come from? What is it about?
Dark Delights. I needed a new segment name after the first radio show ended. It did not end good. So I needed, of course, Ladyaslan was always going to be mine. Nobody can take that away from me. But I needed like a new segment name. I'm like, what can I do that can be versatile, that I can use if perhaps I do a radio show, I can use it on a radio show, and, you know, if I do something in print, I can use it on print. So I was going back and forth, and I was trying to think of something, and I hate to use the word goth or gothy because it's kind of got it's almost a dated word, to be honest with you, and people usually confuse it with emo, which really just pisses me off. But, I was looking for something that could be, you know, somewhat dark, something that would sound intriguing yet kind of sexy, but maybe a little dangerous. I'm like, Dark Delight.
What?
That kind of fits like right in the middle there. You don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And so far, it's worked out really nice because my interviews can range from music to horror, actors, directors, you know, cosplayers, steampunk models, and whatnot. So it fits in really nice, and I like it. Right. So I kept it.
Now, okay, so are you still doing the podcast? Are you planning to do another one, or?
Oh, God. After the second go of podcasts and totally being used, I did not want to get into the second podcast. When the first one ended, I was doing podcasts 7 days a week. I had different genres of things. I went from metal, movie reviews, ambient music, pop. Every day it was something different.
Right.
And I did that for like a year and a half. Let me tell you something. That takes a lot out of you, and you really have to rearrange your days.
Oh, yeah.
So when I was approached for the second radio show, I was like, I don't know. My mom was now a month in the hospital. And I should have known better. My gut told me otherwise. It really did. Because the person was really pushing me. And I was just like, get involved. And then, you know, it started out really rough. And then it ended horribly, very unprofessional. And it just embarrasses me that my name was even had anything to do with it. But then again, I can honestly say it was not my radio show, thank God. So it was pretty much somebody else running the whole show. So at least it's not my name that
blew up.
I have to worry about. I did my part and kept my bands and everything. So and everybody always thought it was my radio show. I'm like, no. I just decided to have a little segment. That's all.
Now, what made you choose poetry? What what drove your love to poetry and short horror erotica?
Well, we did have that spoken word one evening at my parents' bar, and there was a gentleman that, John Bea, I think was his name, and he was kind of like a hippie dude that just like kind of traveled across the U.S. just doing spoken word in bars and coffee shops and whatnot. And I don't know, there was something. I was the type of child that really loved horror movies. I mean, I did not watch cartoons. It was always horror movies. So poetry to me just kind of seemed like, and my grandmother read me a lot of Poe.
Right.
A lot of Poe. And I guess I just liked the way that it felt. The rhythm of it was something that really got to me. Shakespeare, I liked some of his bits and pieces that he did when he got into his little bits of prose. Wadsworth was another one that I remember from school that just really kind of like brought me in. And like Dickinson, I was kind of like 50-50 with. I was like, all right, you know, there's some other stuff I really dig, so I could do without. And then we'll get into, I mean, then there was also philosophy too. I mean, you had like Nietzsche, Plato, Aristotle, all them that really intrigued me at a young age. So there was a lot going on in my mind as a kid. So, and I remember I just kind of looked at my mom one day and I said, I want to be a poet. But it was the 70s, so it kind of made sense. I didn't know things were going to change so much.
Now, not to put you on the spot, but can you make up a small prose off the top of your head? Yeah.
All right, gotta call that witchy pooness out and we make him cast a spell.
Yeah, you gotta summon him now.
Right? La 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 la. Okay, hold on. Excuse my sudden mystification and my utter fascination, but through a mind-heart altercation, you become my adoration.
Oh, wow! Is that it? That sound.
Yeah, that's all you get.
You know, nah, that was a plenty though. You know what? That sounded so many different. Okay, now without giving away too much of your style, like, okay, then that sounded great. But what, like, to be politically correct, what would you call that? Is that like a form of poetry? Is that a saying? What is that?
That's pretty much would be a rhyming poem. I'm more of a professional poet.
Yeah. Because that was lyrical.
When I write, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going through what you're reading right now. You could read something with very heart-drenching, tear-it-apart tears.
Right.
But it could have happened to me like 4 years ago. Or you could be reading something really hot and saucy. And that could have happened 4 years ago too.
Right.
But yes, I am confessional to the point to where it is personal experience that I'm writing through, but also I do throw in a darkness, like a goth, and I mean that more in the literature aspect of things, not the genre. And I also, switch things around. There's a lot of, darkness, horror, erotica mixed in with what I write, and also too with being Wiccan. Maybe once and again I like to rhyme.
You know what?
It's not something I do all the time, because I like to try to, I want to have different bits and pieces. When someone turns the page, I don't want them going to another rhyming piece or another, confessional piece. So I want to try to mix it up a little bit.
That was cool, because I'm sitting there thinking, I was sitting there thinking, damn, like, it sounded like you was going to make a hot song, or like somebody was going to be biting your rhymes for. She was like altercation or altercation. I said, wow. Like,
I had to think. I'm going through my mind. I'm like, rhyme. Okay, so we're gonna rhyme. Come on, Earth, Wind, Fire, Water. Work with me.
You know what? Like, when you write this stuff, like, do you have any particular styles to when you write poetry, or do they switch back and forth?
I have a distinctive writing style. So when you read my first book, Turning Days and Punk Rock Nights, that's pretty much been my style since I actually said, okay, I'm going to try to do this. And I'm going to say it was between middle school and high school when I really was like, all right, let me try this. So there's a definite style that I have, and it's almost like Stephen King's issue. Most of the time, I write how I speak, and I speak how I write. So you really have to be careful with that, because it's either going to work for you or it's not, and people are going to hate it, and they're going to tell you. Luckily, I have a weird flair about me. So when people read what I write or they hear me speak, they're like, okay, yeah, this goes together. These two are meant to be together. So luckily, my weirdness, my adorable awkwardness works for me. But yeah.
You know.
For me to write is like, I can throw like a couple. I might get like, fancy schmancy and throw like some words from Shakespearean days, into some of my work. But It's definitely my own style.
Oh, okay.
I really can't say it's like anybody else's because I've never really read anybody quite out there like me. Another poet I really dig, and she's on Facebook. She's just a real poet, Kim Acrylic. You gotta check her out. Me and her have collabed quite a few times on work, and she is just really, really groovy. I really dig her. And but yeah, with my writing, it's so weird.
I mean, you know what though? I wouldn't call it. Is weird the right word for it though? Really? I guess it's just fun to call it that. I mean, different, unique, deeper than most. You know, those maybe terms is good for it. Not necessarily.
Sometimes I surprise myself how deep I go, because sometimes, like when I will sometimes get into a trance. Well, I shouldn't say a trance, but like I do when I write, and then the next thing I know, I've written like 6 or 7 different things, and like maybe a couple hours have gone past. Like, oh my goodness.
Oh,
okay, I gotta tweak this and fix that. I don't want to say it's like spirit writing, but sometimes, you know, I'll have like TV on in the background just to have noise, and then just start writing, and the next thing I know, I either got a short story or like 4 or 5 different poems.
Wow. Listen,
and I didn't even realize that I did it.
And look, we want to congratulate you, of course, of being a member of the International Society of Poets. Big deal for that.
That was from a long time ago. Thank you.
It still counts. Yes.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's just another accomplishment under the belt. It counts. Look, hey, listen, don't do that. Don't do that, all right? Because, look, I got a little bit of age on me. If you start taking credit away from everything that happened some years ago, dang, like, you know what I'm saying? Don't do that. Look, also, the Outstanding Achievement Award 2007. That was a while back, but still, congratulations on that.
Thank you. That was fun. I went to the mailbox, and there was a box in there. I'm like, what is this? It's kind of heavy, and it was an award. And I'm like, oh my god, I really won.
Hey, they did it straight to your door. You ain't have to go nowhere.
Yeah, I was like, wow, they were telling me the truth.
Right. Hey, look, you know, before we get out of here, I want to before we go, a few things. First, I want to touch on Victorian Days and Punk Rock Nights. Was that an article you did, a book you wrote? What was that?
That was my first book I wrote in 2000. I started writing the book in 2006, and then I finally published it and got it done in 2007. And that was my first book. I actually came up with the name in high school. I was sitting in high school, maybe allegedly, or maybe not, under the influence of something at the time. And I was like, if I was going to write a book, what would I call it, man? And I'm thinking, and Victorian Days and Punk Rock Nights popped in my head. Okay. Decades later, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to write this book. And that's the name I chose, because that was the name I said I was going to write. And if I ever had the chance, that was going to be my book.
And so you did it.
And so I did it.
Wow.
And then, about 7-8 years goes by, and then I released my second book, Lipstick and Amethyst. Again, I played with the idea of a second book. Hey, don't bite me. My cat Josephus is in here with me, and he is just...
What's his name? Josephus. What's going on?
Yes. He's my little man. He's my little fur baby. But about 7 or 8 years goes by, and I'm like, all right. And my mom's health was not doing well, and she was kind of like on me. She's like, you should write another book. And I'm like, And so I did, and I dedicated it to her, and that's Lipstick and Amethyst. And third book, I'm thinking about it. I don't know if I'm going to go the route of, the poetry and the short horror erotica.
Right.
I've played with the idea of actually writing what I went through with my mom the last 4 months of her life. When all that was going on, I didn't really want to answer a whole bunch of phone calls or answer the same email over and over. So I told a whole bunch of people, here I am on Facebook. I will update on Facebook. And I didn't realize how much, until information that I was putting down as to what I was going through, because I started to get messages from people from here to like England.
Right.
And they're like, oh my God, I have diabetes, and I didn't know this, and I didn't know that, and oh my God, I lost my husband, my brother, my sister, diabetes. And so I started talking to these people, and I kind of realized nobody's really educated on diabetes. Everybody, and if I see one more truth commercial about somebody losing, their eyesight from smoking, I might have to go choke somebody at truth. My mother never smoked a day in her life. Everything on those commercials that they talk about, you get from diabetes. Right. Now, if you smoke on top of it, of course anything is going to happen, but diabetes is your main concern.
Right.
And I don't like that truth is piggybacking off of the American diabetes issue. It pisses me off. I don't like it, because I can't tell you how many people I've met in my life that do not smoke, have lost eyesight, have lost limbs. Now, I can tell you a bunch of people that I know that do smoke that still have their eyesight, all their teeth, and all their limbs.
Right.
So I don't like those commercials. They just piss me off, because they're just trying, let's just get as many people in this circle as we possibly can. And no, it doesn't work that way, because each disease is different, and it does different things to the body. And I have just enough medical school training to know the difference. And when I see commercials like that, I'm like, oh, please, can we just have some more propaganda? Please, just give me more. I have not had my fill for the day.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of maybe going along that line of educating people about diabetes. But then I'm like, oh my God, that'd be a complete 360 from, maybe I shouldn't use the Ladyaslan name. I might have to use my real name.
Yeah,
I'm bouncing back and forth. I don't know if I want there to be a third book. I guess we'll see how people are digging lipstick and absinthe. I guess, I'll wait to see if anybody starts bitching at me. Hey, you gonna put out another one? And then we'll go from there. But yeah, up until then, I'll just kind of like sit back and
well, you know what, and we got to get these out, because again, for all the listeners out there that may not be familiar with Ladyaslan's work, she's recognized. You know what I mean? Also, Poetry.com recognized her as Editor's Choice for the Editor's Choice Award in 2008. Of course, it still counts. Just in case you was going to say something crazy. Congratulations on that. Look, listen, how does it feel? And I asked this question, and I'm not going to hold us too much longer, but listen, I asked this question. When you received the recognition, and the awards and things like that, there's obviously, you're happy about it. But it brings us to the question, what do you do it for? Like, why do you do it as a writer when you put your heart into it, as you always do?
When I first started in the 90s, actually like sharing it and putting it out there, I wrote more words than I wrote down in my books, but I never told anybody until right now. I have like a whole closet full of certificates and awards that I won. But I never told anybody. And when I was writing the first book, my editor, she was like, if you have any awards or anything, you really should let us know. We can like add this in, for promotional purposes and, reference and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. Oh, crap. So, those were the two that I had put out. But the one that I was very proud of was the certificate of accomplishment that I got for honors in poetic writing. I wrote a piece called Veiled. And it ended up in a compilation by Noble House. Centers of Expression is the name of the book. And it's out of the UK. And what I did with that piece was I had added a line from Save a Prayer from Duran Duran, which is one of my favorite bands. And so you wanted a dance line. And and I was kind of happy that it was a UK publishing house that picked it up and sent the award, so that really tickled me pink. I loved it. But that was like the only one I really ever talked about. I guess I'm kind of shy, and I don't, like, you're asking me questions, so I have no problem answering them.
Right.
But like if we were sitting across from each other drinking coffee and you weren't asking me questions, I would not readily give information.
Of course.
I would just kind of like sit there going, this coffee's good, huh?
Yeah. Sometimes I feel crazy. I don't know if you go through that. Sometimes I feel crazy asking certain questions. I'm like, would these people be talking to me if we wasn't on a show right now?
Yes, I've had moments like that, and I've actually gotten some answers back that kind of like I went, oh yeah, this is why. I can feel a kindred energy with this person with some of the answers I would get back. So
that makes it interesting, though. Like that's what makes what we do so fun and interesting. Because if you you know, and I'm sure you are. You love what you do. Like you don't just interview people and ask. You know, listen. There's pieces of knowledge you take. You always learn something. You learn about people. It opens your it opens your spectrum on life. And it's just, listen, interviewing people, I always call it conversating, but you get to intake all this different stuff, this learning, you know what I'm saying? And you also, you tend to not become judgmental, and you always try to keep a good vibe. So, I don't know. That's our job, though, but we enjoy it. I know you like it. You must love it.
Yeah, I do. I love promoting people, especially people that have great talent. They're great people. They do something amazing. I just love doing that because that's what I saw my parents do.
Right.
And I know it sounds funny, but I remember as a kid, they would just talk, like, this band's coming, this is coming, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, how nice is that?
You know what? That's true. You are following in their footsteps.
And I mean, and some people charge. I mean, I know there's like PR companies out there and stuff. You could pay so much a year and we'll give you good publicity or blah, 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 whatever. Don't pay me. I would be more than happy to tell like 10 people that very well, may go out and buy a CD, the movie, the book, your picture, or something like that. You don't have to pay me.
Yeah.
We'll just have fun. We'll just talk. We'll put it out there. We'll get some, good coverage on it. And like I said, TE and Coma, I'm very, very amazed with how they set up everything, because both magazines are different and set up and everything. So we got two different, one side of the world versus the other. So we got a lot of people coming together, and just great people to submit to. They're funny. We're kind of like in the same boat. I think if we all got together, would probably could take over the world. But it's a lot of fun, and they're very open to promoting the people that I find and become friends with, or have been friends with.
Then do you want to?
Once I interview somebody, I do try to stay friends with them because they opened up a piece of themselves to me, and that's the least I can do. Is
Exactly. Now
say hello every once and again. How you doing?
But because I want to make sure we touch that too. Your two magazines that you write for, where can people, if you want to plug those, where can everybody check those out? When they should they look out for your articles or what?
Actually, what they can do is I always have it public on my Facebook page, the Coma ones, because Coma is online only. If you go to Coma Music Magazine on Facebook, you can go on their page and you'll see Dark Delights by Ladyaslan, and you'll see all the interviews I've done. And it's the same thing with TE Magazine. Now, Coma, you'll see a little more often because they publish about once to twice a week. TE publishes like once a month. And the same thing too, TE Magazine, T as in Tom, E as in Edward Magazine. They're on Facebook, and their webpage is there too. And you can click on it and actually buy a physical copy of TE Magazine. And again, you can read them online, or you can also purchase the download. So you can either buy it, have a physical copy in your hand, or just download it and you can look at it on your computer or your phone or tablet.
That's what's up. It's good, everybody. You can download it, but go ahead and get you a copy, order you a copy too, because they're
and Gorgeous Freaks is the same way. I've actually written for them a few times. I cannot forget them. They're amazing because you can actually get a copy of Gorgeous Freaks, or you can download it too. And they're out of Costa Rica.
Oh wow!
So I try to keep, a good mix going on. I want to make sure that a lot of ground can be covered. So that's why I kind of look like where the magazine comes out of.
Right.
And all these magazines I approach. Right. They did not approach me. I approached them. I'm like, hey, I got some interviews. You want to give it a try?
Listen.
And it worked.
Look, one last question before we get out of here. You grew up. Well, you learned a lot, and it was hard work. Obviously, it was no piece of cake for you. You went through a lot of struggles. What advice or just piece of motivation or whatever you want to call it, what words would you have for people trying to aspire to be great writers as yourself?
I think to aspire to be anything, you have to live life. You have to be educated, and you have to read.
Right.
It's great to have role models, but you have to be your own role model. You've got to be the person that makes you get up in the morning. There's really no other excuse. Read as much as you can. Please read a book before you write one.
I like
have
that.
some etiquette. Know how to speak to people. Don't use people. And just be a good person, and also get out into the world. Even if you go drive 2 counties over in the place you live in, do that, and then just try to work more and more to travel, see the world. Even if you have to watch the Travel Channel or buy travel magazines, just open your mind up to different cultures, different ways, and that's going to open even more doors in your mind to what you're going to be able to create, write, and portray, and definitely live each emotion to its extent in your life, whether it be good or bad, because it's going to come through in your art, in your work, your character. Let the emotions change you into the person that you're supposed to be. Don't stay in neutral.
Wow.
And it's hard to say because it's not always a wonderful ride. This roller coaster of life is amazing, and it's also devastating at the same time. So you just kind of have to be strong enough to deal with it both. And if you can't, get help. There's people out there that you can talk to, friends, organizations, Facebook friends. So
yeah, absolutely.
Do it.
And, you know what? And also I want to say those words right there for people, everybody out there listening. I guess there was some silence. You can definitely take a piece of that. Those were simple, cut, straight to the point, great pieces of advice for people to be able to follow out there. Wow. Listen, Ladyaslan, it's been a pleasure, and we definitely have to do this again sometime.
Yes.
I feel like I almost met my match there for a second. Going a few rounds with the other host with the most right here. No doubt. Listen, it's been a pleasure. Everybody out there. Oh, look, I don't know if you do this on your show, but I got to do it on here. Any shout outs?
Yes. To my wonderful sister, Leanne Langford. I love her. She is my girl. And to all my baby bats, especially Heidi, Sarah. And my girl, Jennifer, in Missouri. I love you. And Richard Cardinal, you've got to be on the lookout for him. I think he would be a great next interview.
Okay. We'll put it together.
All right. Sounds awesome.
We will. Listen, everybody out there all across the land, you're tuned into the #1 station on the net, Hotline Radio. I'm your guy, Keith Harris. And this is the amazing Ladyaslan. Listen, make sure you check out Dark Delights. Okay, make sure you check out her columns in the Coma, TE magazine as well. Look, you got a lot going on. Holy cow! You want to help me run all this down?
Let's see. We got TE magazine,
yeah,
Coma Music magazine, and then the Dark Delights page on Facebook, and then my webpage is www.lipstickandabsinthe.com. That's my official webpage. You can get the book through there. You can see pictures of people in different T-shirts, get excerpts from the book, all kinds of fun stuff.
I'm glad you do.
I'm also on Amazon too.
See there? You see how I called? You see, that's how I know you do this for real. You see how I called on you and you was right there ready to rock and roll? Way to go.
I may have done it a few times.
No doubt. Listen, for everybody out there, in case you tuned in late, which I always say you should have been here from the beginning, the full conversation between myself and Ladyaslan will be on social media for playback purposes in full. Of course, listen, it's an honor and it's a pleasure. And we'll be talking to you soon. Look, and we'll also be posting her works, her literatures, her columns and things like that on the social media sites, so you can check her out there. Listen, it's been great talking to you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll chop it up and we'll chat in a little while.
All right, sounds good, my dear. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, everybody out there all across the land, that was Ladyaslan, writer, author, interviewer, columnist, so many different things. Also make sure you check out and don't forget Baby Bats. Get the Baby Bats merchandise too, the shirts with the wings on the back. Make sure you check that out. If you go on her pages, you'll see hashtags and stuff like that. We'll post it and everything like that. All right, big shouts out to her and the whole team. Big shouts out also once again to my wonderful co-host Leanne Langford. I hope she's having a wonderful day, doing okay out there. Big shouts out to her. We'll be hearing from her again soon, and we'll see her next time. Yeah, look, we greatly appreciate you. It's always a pleasure. We love you. Make sure y'all tune in again. We got some more amazing conversations and some hot music coming up for you too. Also, don't forget, more shows coming up on Hotline Radio.